what was Paul's mission strategies in different mission stations?
Missiologists have identified several mission strategies from Acts of the Apostles. Team ministry of Paul, urban-centered mission and all that. I would leave that away because quite a few things we hear about that. I feel there are some unique elements in Paul's own mission that he used consciously. One was the method of discipling. Discipling was his focus. Many times I have heard people accusing Paul of converting and saying that Jesus was discipling, Paul was converting. I'm frankly telling Pastor, I sometimes feel very sad that they don't read Bible carefully. Simply because Paul always focused on discipleship. See, Jesus had a vocabulary of follow me. And so we say he was discipling. And Paul, we totally overlook the idea, imitate me. The idea imitation is thoroughly discipleship language. That was in the Greco-Roman world, the Greek philosophers, teachers used that as a technique to teach the disciples. Imitate me. And Paul uses that. So discipling was important for him. That I have touched even in my book called Into the Mission of God, a missional reading. And there's one entire chapter there I have written on discipling in Thessalonian correspondence particularly, not in general, but on Thessalonians. So discipling for me was a particular technique that Paul used. So he was training his companions, he was training Timothy, he was training his believers. And why did he write letters? When he is far away, he still writes letters to them to tell them how they must live and live according to what he has taught them. And what does he say? Philippians, as we lived among you, you have seen us. Follow some of those patterns. Philippians 3:17, imitation idea that he talks. Then the next one is, Paul's another important strategy was contextualizing his gospel. He never carried a baggage, Jewish baggage, and was dumping on Gentiles. But he went and he spoke the gospel without diluting it in their own tongue. And that's very important. Bombarding it is not the right way. It must gel within the context. Paul knew it very well. So when he goes to Athens, he says, oh, I want to tell you about a God for whom probably you have erected that altar. Unknown God. You don't know. And I will introduce you. See, those are locations. So contextual. He incarnates the gospel in their terms. Then unity in Christ. Paul never differentiated people as Jew, Gentile. Separation he never wanted. He wanted to see all coming together and getting unified. There is no Jew, no Gentile. That's a strategy for me. He refers to that in Corinthians. He refers to that in Galatians. He refers to that in Colossians. No Jew, no Gentile. No free, no slave. No male, no female. That's the categories that he uses. Why? Is because all have to come in. So now unity is established in Christ Jesus, where the world outside was all about differences. Paul never celebrated differences. That was Paul's problem with his opponents, who were going around and distinguishing between Jew and Gentile, and then telling them, if you want to be a good Christian, you need to move into our cultural system and then you will be better one if you become like us. Paul said, no. What does he say in Galatians 4? He says, become like me as I become like you. Ginomai. Become. There is a movement from one to another one. And there is an invitation. So 50% I come, 50% you come. Neither Jew nor Gentiles. But it's an in-between where we have a distinct identity. We color each other.
Right.
You be what you are and I will be what I am culturally. But we are one in Christ Jesus. That was a very important strategy. Many times we impose things. We should learn from Paul. Finally, I will say, he offered gospel above all other cultures. Culture was important for him. I told you that he contextualized, but he never made culture as a barrier to speak about gospel.